We call it freakout time. I'm talking about the inspection. So, when there's a home inspection being done, there are a few things that you need to know about, whether you're a seller or a buyer. So, what I'd like to do today is go over the things that you can expect to see in an inspection report. So first of all, we're going to start off with what we call 4-point issues. These are things that would prevent somebody from being able to get a new insurance policy. Now, of course, every state's different. I'm talking about the state of Florida where we live, so things may be a little bit different in your state. But the 4 points are the roof, the HVAC, the electrical, and the plumbing. So here are some things that they're going to be taking a look at, and we'll just start at the top. The condition of the roof and its age. Now, the age of the roof is turning into a big problem here in Florida because most insurance companies will not insure a roof that's more than 15 years old. And if a buyer can't get homeowners insurance, they can't get a mortgage, which means they can't buy the house. So if you're a seller and you've got a roof that's over 15 years old, chances are you're going to have to replace that before closing, unless you've got a cash buyer who, of course, a cash buyer is not required to have full homeowners insurance. But the bottom line is the roof is going to be an issue if it's old. Also, they're going to look for stains in the attic and ceiling. What they're looking for is signs of leaks. Now, these leaks may be old and have been repaired, or they may be new. Now, an inspector can usually tell if these things are new or if they're old. So they're going to be looking around for that because those might be clues of a problem with a roof that may not be obvious from up above. Now, the other thing they're going to be looking for while they're up in the attic is any broken or incorrectly installed trusses. The trusses are the wood pieces that hold up the roof. They're very important structural issues. So they're going to be looking those over. And they're also going to be taking a look at the insulation while they're up in the attic. Now, the insulation's not a 4-point issue, but just since we're talking about the attic, that's the other thing that they're looking for. And while they're up in the attic too, they're going to be looking at the electrical up there. Up in the attic, it's very common to find open connections, wires that have been spliced together, but they're supposed to be in a junction box if we got wires that are connected together. Frequently, we find things like that. Those have to be corrected because that's a safety issue. As far as the electrical goes, they're going to look at the electrical panel as well. They're going to check the condition of it. They're going to make sure that it's safe. And there are certain brands of electrical panels that are not allowed anymore because later on, years later, they found that they're not safe and they can start a fire. I've got a whole separate video about panels that are not safe. And if you need a link to that, just let me know and I'll point you in the right direction. The electrical, they're going to check that over thoroughly. If there's any electrical problems, obviously it's going to be an insurance issue. Now, as far as the plumbing goes, they're looking at a few things. They're going to look for leaks. If there are any leaks, they're going to have to be corrected. And also, they're looking at the type of pipes. There are a few certain types of pipes that are not allowed for insurance. And again, I'm talking about Florida where we live. So one of them is galvanized pipes. Insurance companies do not want to insure galvanized pipes because you can't tell if they're going to fail because they're galvanized on the outside. They rust from the inside out. So you've got no way of knowing if it's going to last another year or if it's going to last another 5 minutes. So insurance companies do not like galvanized pipe for that reason. They also don't like polybutylene pipes. These are pipes that are made out of plastic. Now, they look like PEX pipes, which are okay, but a plumber can identify these and an inspector can identify these by looking at them. Polybutylene pipes, the chemicals that are used to treat the water, it turns out, they found out later on, that breaks down the chemical composition of the pipes and they can fail at any time. And you can't tell by looking at them if they're going to fail. So polybutylene pipes and galvanized pipes, those are two of a few others that they're going to be looking at. As far as HVAC, that's something you're going to be looking at. The air conditioning system, they'll be looking at its age, its condition, whether or not there's any insulation missing on any ductwork, or if any ducts are leaking up in the attic. They're going to be checking all that stuff out. Because, again, these 4 points, the roof, the plumbing, the electrical, and the HVAC, those are like key components to a house. And insurance companies want to make sure that those are okay. Now, a couple other things you want to take a look at, too, if you're selling. Make sure the filters are clean in your HVAC system. That will count against you in your inspection. And it kind of goes to reason, because if you're not even bothering to change your filters, you're probably not doing any other maintenance either. So, psychologically, people will just think that, well, you're not taking care of things. They're also going to be looking for safety issues, things like missing smoke detectors or missing carbon monoxide detectors. Those are things that are required to be in the house. If they're missing, that's going to show up on the inspection. Also, if you got any missing stair railings, or if they're loose or not the correct height, not only inside the house but outside. If you have steps going up to your front door, there has to be a railing there. It's a safety issue. Same with your deck out back. They're going to look at a few other things, and here's some real common ones. The dishwasher not secured properly. There's some screws that have to go up underneath so that when the doors open, it can't tip. And that's a safety issue, so they're going to look for that. And it's very common that dishwashers are not put in properly. And I'll give you another tip, too. The line that comes out of the dishwasher into the drain, it's supposed to loop up real high underneath the countertop before it goes into the drain. That's usually installed wrong. I'd say probably 8 out of 10 we see those are wrong. So check that out before the inspection. Also, the oven, there's a little bracket that's supposed to be behind it that will prevent it from tipping over if the door's open, and like if a kid leans on it or something. That can be a real safety hazard. Very frequently we see those missing, so that is obviously going to be a safety issue. The range hood needs to be attached properly, and it needs to be vented properly. Some of the older houses, they just vented them up into the attic, and that's not okay, because venting hot air up into the attic like that causes condensation, causes water. It's a problem. They're going to be looking for mold and mildew. Mold can be a health hazard, and mildew can be an indication of water intrusion. So they're looking for that. They're looking to make sure the toilets are secured properly. If your toilets are all loose or if they're leaking, that's going to show up on the inspection report. The garage door, it needs to work properly, and it has to have safety sensors. Those are things that can show up. If the door between the garage, and of course this isn't a comprehensive list, this is just everything I can think of on this video, and I know it's going to be kind of a long video, but you need to know this stuff. The door in between the garage and the living area needs to be fire rated. And here in the area where we live, most of the houses are older, so they were built before that rule. So like the house I live in, our door is not legal. It's a wooden door. It's not fire rated. So if we were to sell this house, we'd need to change that door for insurance and safety purposes. Now, let me talk about a few other issues that are going to show up, because I don't want you to be surprised about these. Whether you're selling or if you're buying, you need to know about these things. If there are any broken or inoperable windows, those are going to show up in the report. And if they're getting an FHA or a VA loan, those will hold up the loan. And also with VA loans and FHA, I'm pretty sure both of those, you have to have window screens too. So, think ahead on that. All the lights need to be operable. The doors, if they don't open and close properly, if they kind of hang up or if they're loose and rickety, that's going to show up on the inspection. In the tub areas and in the bathroom area, if there's cracked grout or caulking that's not proper, those are things that can allow water intrusion. Fireplace should be inspected separately by a fireplace inspector. That needs to be functioning properly. People have died because they didn't get a fireplace inspection. refrigerator coils, get those cleaned so the refrigerator is operating properly. The ice dispenser should work. The water dispenser should work. All the burners in the range, those should all work. Everything should be in good condition. I mentioned the dishwasher drain line, I think. That needs to be proper. All the cabinet doors and drawers need to operate properly. Those can be safety hazards. If the water pressure in the property is too high or too low, that'll show up on the inspection report. You may want to have a plumber come out and take a look if you're concerned about one way or the other. Imperfection in the floor will show up on the inspection report. Now, I know usually there's nothing you can do about that after the fact, but it's going to show up on the report. And ceiling imperfections are going to show up as well. Here in Florida, it's very common to have cracks in the ceilings. It's just the way it is. But it's going to show up on the report. Some areas, radon gas is an issue. That should be tested. It depends on your area. Your gutters. If your gutters are all full of leaves, that's going to show up on the report. Evidence of pests and rodents, and especially evidence of where pests can get into your attic or get into your house, that needs to be sealed up real nice. Fences that aren't stable or gates that aren't stable. Trees that are too close to the house. Insurance companies, generally speaking, they want tree branches to be at least 10 feet from the roof. So if you got that, trim them back. Landscape drainage, landscape irrigation, those are things that'll show up on the inspection report. And if you have diseased plants or trees, that'll show up on the inspection report more than likely. And the other thing, permits are going to be checked. And any work that's been done on the house, it should have been permitted. And if it wasn't, that's going to show up on the report. So I know I just went through a lot of stuff. So let me tell you what the solution is. Sellers, we recommend getting an inspection done before you put it on the market. That way, if there are some issues that you know you're going to have to fix before closing, it gives you time so it doesn't show up a couple weeks before closing and you have to scramble and rush and try to find somebody to get the work done, and it's a big emergency. That way you get the stuff done, it's taken care of, and it doesn't give the buyers anything to freak out about. And buyers, just know every house has stuff wrong with it, even brand new construction. We just had one brand new construction. Our clients did an inspection with a private inspector. They found 33 things that needed to be fixed before closing. So a house is a very complex thing. They all have something wrong. Now, buyers, don't expect a seller to fix every tiny little thing on a house that's not brand new. There's certain things that are reasonable to expect and certain things that should be fixed. And your agent can give you some good advice on which things you should ask to be fixed, which things you may want to ask for credit to get fixed, or which things you should just let go. Because the inspection period is and can be a big deal killer. So buyers, don't let it kill your deal. Don't be unreasonable. And your agent can give you some guidance on that. And sellers, again, get an inspection up front so that way you know what's going to come up so you can deal with the important things first. And then the minor stuff, you can just deal with it. And this is something you can talk with your agent about too for sellers. If you want, share that report with people and tell them which things were fixed and offer proof, the receipts or pictures or whatever, that just give them the report, all the things that were fixed. That way they know everything beforehand. They can't come back later and say, oh, well, we didn't know about this, so we want to negotiate the price again. It's a good strategy to keep buyers from using the inspection as an occasion to renegotiate a new price. So I've got a whole free guide on what to expect on an inspection. I'll put it in the comments or in the description down below how you can get it. It's free. You can just download it. I want you to have it because the inspection period, that's the freak out period. And we all need to be ready for it so that nobody's freaking out. So I'm Chuck Vosberg. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a lot from it. If you have questions, ask me anything. I'll tell you anything you want to know. No strings attached. We put humans over houses. So thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.